This conference will now be recorded.
So yesterday we have started about this OOPS concept, nothing but object orientation. Within that, we discussed about if you want to design any enterprise application, or we can say that any web application. So we need to select a particular programming language, and we have discussed four types of programming languages. That is nothing but object oriented and unstructured, structured, and aspect oriented. So these four programming languages, I mean, what is the limitations, advantages, all these things we have discussed on yesterday. And each and every, if you go for unstructured, structured, so they're having a huge limitations. That is the reason we're going with object oriented. And even still in object oriented also we are facing some limitations. That is the reason we're going with aspect oriented programming languages. Okay, these things we discussed on yesterday. And after that we have started about this object oriented futures. So nothing but what are the principles of OOPS concept. So we have started about this class, object, encapsulation, abstraction, polymorphism, message passing. I mean, just we have not yet defined anything, just we have mentioned the futures, what is what, right? Nothing but class, object, abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, and message passing, right? So let me recall these things once again, and we can go with further. Okay, so we have started about lastly object oriented futures. Object oriented futures. So one is class, second one object, encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism, and message passing. Right? And we discussed one more small question format as well. Nothing but on the basis of above object oriented futures, there are two types of programming languages. One is object oriented programming languages. Second one is object based programming languages. I mean, what is the difference between object oriented programming languages and object based programming languages? So answer is very simple. Object oriented programming languages will allow almost all the object oriented futures, including inheritance. Example is Java, right? And object based programming languages will allow almost all the object oriented features excluding inheritance. So example is JavaScript. Okay. What is the difference between class and object? So this thing also I had discussed on yesterday. Just I will summarize the points. Class is a group of elements having similar property and behaviors. Object is an individual element among the group of elements having physical identity, physical properties, and physical behaviors. Okay. So here properties and behaviors is nothing but variables and methods. Okay. Creating a class is not enough. So if you want to utilize any class, whether it is a user defined class or whether it is a predefined class, so first of all we need to create an object, then only we can utilize any class. Okay. So for a given a class we can create n number of objects here. Okay, not only single or one object, two object like that, we can create n number of objects and each and every object is having a unique identity. So how to get this physical identity or how to get this unique identity for a particular object or for each and every object, so we will discuss practically later on. I mean within this concept only. Currently I'm not discussing. Okay. So class is ritual, object is physical, class is ritual encapsulation of properties and behaviors. Object is physical encapsulation of properties and behaviors. And fourth one, class is generalization, object is specialization. Class is a model or blueprint for the objects. Object is an instance of the class. So here instance is nothing but creating an object for a particular class. Okay, so these are the I mean what is exactly difference between class and object, or we can say that these are the difference between class and object. Okay, So these things we discussed on yesterday till now, and we'll go over further object-oriented features. What is the difference between encapsulation and abstraction? Okay, what is the difference between encapsulation and abstraction? So if you go with encapsulation, encapsulation is the process of binding data and coding part as a single unit. So here encapsulation best example is nothing but clause. Binding data and coding part is nothing but another way of variables and methods only. Best example for encapsulation is nothing but creating a clause. That is the best example. Okay. And if you go with abstraction, the process of visualizing necessary implementation or elements and the process of hiding unnecessary elements or implementation part is called as an abstraction. Okay, so in application development, both encapsulation and abstraction are achieving security, here. Okay, so here if you observe the abstraction, the process of visualizing the necessary implementation or elements and the process of hiding the unnecessary elements or implementation part is called as an abstraction. So if you observe my previous classes, so whenever I had defined a class, whenever I had defined an abstract class, so nowhere I have provided the implementation for a particular method. I mean, so if you want to define an abstract method, how to create an abstract method, we discussed already. That is a best example for abstraction. I mean, logic will not be disclosed to the end user. Just they will provide only prototype of a method. Okay, they will not disclose any logics, whatever the logics they have written for that respective method in I mean in implementation class, or we cannot, instead of implementation class we can say that is subclass. So in subclass methods, generally the logic is going to provide for each and every abstract methods. So whenever if a client is accessing, or if a third party vendor if need to access any methods, right, so they will not provide any logic for a particular method. Instead of, they're going to provide the abstract methods. That is the abstraction. So what they want, that is the thing, that's it. Okay, so for suppose if they want to connect an application from I mean, if you just let us assume that, so if it is some Java web application, so Java application has to communicate to MySQL. So if you check with this MySQL I mean MySQL teams or MySQL software development team, right, so they will provide only a method called as in connect. That's it. But inside of connect, whatever the logic they are providing, they will not provide us. Only method they will provide. That's it. So they will tell to the Java team, so just call this method, you will be automatically connected from Java application to MySQL. Same for Oracle as well. So you need to provide the respect to port for the MySQL and respect to authentication you need to provide. I mean username and password. That's it. But whatever the logic, how it is authenticating, how it is checking, cross-checking, is all these things, they will not provide any necessary logic to the Java table. Okay. And now if you go for inheritance, we discussed already inheritance here. What is inheritance? So the process of getting variables and methods. The process of getting variables and methods from one class to another class is called as inheritance. Okay, the process of getting variables and methods from one class to another class is called as an inheritance. So if you observe previously, we had defined a class A. So what are the members of class if you want to get in some other class, right? So let us assume some other class, it may be a class D. So just we need to provide a keyword called as an extends. Once if you define a keyword called as an extends, whatever the members, whatever the variables and methods which is present in class A, it is automatically available to class B by using a extends keyword. Okay, the main objective of inheritance is code reusability. The main objective of inheritance is code reusability. Nothing but if you want to achieve the code reusability, okay, code reusability concept, then we need to go with a go with a feature called as an inheritance, which is a part of oops. Okay, and next one is polymorphism. So here polymorphism is a Greek word where poly means many and morphism means structures. Okay, if one thing is existed in more than one form, then it is called as a polymorphism. If one thing is existed in multiple forms, or we can say that or more than one form, then that mechanism, then that concept is nothing but what we are exactly calling as a polymorphism here. Okay, and last one is message passing. So message passing is nothing but if you observe in our previous classes, initial core Java classes. So if you want to pass some parameters to a particular method, so how we have passed, same way here message passing as well. Okay, the process of bypassing the data along with flow of execution from one instruction to another instruction, one instruction to another instruction is called as message passing. Okay, the process of bypassing the data along with flow of execution, okay, from one instruction to other instruction is called as a message passing. So once if I create an object, right, so if you want to access a method with parameters, how we done? So we have just created an object and based upon that reference variable we have called that respective method, and while calling that respective method even we have observed the so if that respective method is having any parameters or not. If we are having some parameters, so we have passed that respective parameters as well. That is the what is exactly message passing. If you observe the process of bypassing the data, okay, along with flow of execution from one instruction to other instruction is called as a message passing. Okay, clear? So next one, so that is nothing but containers in Java. Containers in Java. Container is an element which contains some other Java elements like variables, methods, blocks, etc. Okay, container is a Java element which contains some other Java elements. Okay, so some other Java elements like variables, methods, blocks, constructors. We're having so many concepts. Okay, there are three types of containers in Java. One is class, second one is interface, third one is abstract class. Okay, there are three types of containers in Java. One is class, and second one is an interface, and third one is an abstract class.
This conference will now be recorded.
So if you observe the class, the main intention of classes in Java programming is to represent the real world entities. Real world entities like customer, employee, student, account, and so on. Okay, the main intention of classes in Java programming is to represent the real world entities. So here entities is nothing but a class names or declaring a class. That is nothing but what is exactly entities. Okay, so if we define some class names is going to be vary based upon your requirements, right? So here customer is one class name, employee is one class name, student is one more class name, account, department, so like this. Okay, second point, if we want to use classes in Java applications, then we have to use the following steps. Declare a class by using class keyword. Most of you know these things. Declaring entity data in the form of variables, declare entity behaviors in the form of methods, in main class, in main method. So how to define this main method we will discuss today. Okay, create an object and reference variable for the class, and after creating a reference variable, accessing the members of the class by using reference variable. Okay, so if you observe, so generally if you want to define a class, so we create a keyword called as a class keyword, and within this class keyword, so here entity data and entity behaviors is nothing but variables and methods in which we are defining inside of a class. And after that, so we're having one method called as a main method. So within this main method, so we need to create an object and reference variable for a particular class or for a given a class. By using this reference variable, we can access the members of a class. Here, access the members of a class by using reference variable means, so here accessing is nothing but members of a class. If you observe here, that is nothing but variables and as well as methods. Okay, so how to define a class, these things you know already. So let me let me use some program which is already written.
This conference will now be recorded.
So here what are the steps which I defined in my screenshot. Same way we are creating a class. Just I'm creating class employee followed by some variable names. String EID. String ename. Float is string address. EADDR employee address. Hyderabad. So void display employee. So nothing but here employee details. So now here employee ID. So now here employee ID. So that is EID. Employee name. Employee salary. Employee address. EADDR. Okay, so just close this method and try to create a class with test main and try to create a main method. So public static void main string args. So first of all, this is a predefined method which is providing by Java programming language. So here we're having a software called as a JVM, Java Virtual Machine. So once if you install Java software within your machine, you're going to get, we're going to get a software. So named as JVM. It is a predefined software which is provided by Oracle. So once if you are trying to do compilation and execution, so within the compilation if you're getting some errors means compilation itself is going to fail. So if you're having some errors, so once if we solve that errors, so then we can go with this runtime or what we call compilation execution, different executions of these things. Okay, so whenever if you are do compilation, so Java software is going to run at backend. So first of all, whatever the program in which you have written, so that is not bothered by JVM. So even though if you're adding some 1,000 lines of code, first it will going to check, so do we have any main method or not, right? So if you're having a main method, so then this JVM is going to come to main method, and within that method whatever the logic, whatever things which are written, that will be done. But suppose if you are not finding main method within this program, okay, if you're not finding main method within this program, definitely you're going to get some compile time error. So whenever if you're doing some compilations, whenever if you're doing some compilations in the Java program. Okay, so now here I'm creating an object and reference variable. Employee is equal to new employee. So system dot println employee ID is EID dot EID. Sorry, what is object creation? E dot EID. Okay, there is a reference variable. So now here E name, and next one is E cell. This is E cell. So EADDR. That's it. Okay. So try to save this program first of all. So here if you observe two class names, one is we're having some class employee and one more thing is test main. Okay, one more thing is test main, right? So now which class name we need to save the program? By using which class name we need to save the program? So out of these two programs, right? Out of these two programs, what are the programs we're having? One is employee and one more thing is test main. So the class which is having main method, by using that class name, we need to save the program. So even though if you're having some 100 classes, so first of all, on 100 classes, we need to identify so where exactly main method we're having for a particular class. So once if you identify this main class, right, creating an object and accessing the members is very easy. Okay. So because if you observe this class employee, class test main, so if you observe two classes, two class names we're having, out of these two class names, which class name is having a main method? That is nothing but a test main. By using this test main, we need to save the program. So Java programs test main dot Java. Okay. So now open this command prompt. Open this command prompt and type cmd. So where exactly this programs is available? Yeah, Java programs, right? Nothing but C uses SR Cora, SRK Cora desktop Java programs, right? So that is nothing but C users. We're having some SR Cora is there. Here SR Cora and desktop. First of all, we need to switch to desktop and CDA and CD Java programs. Oh, what is the issue? Okay, Java programs is more. CD Java programs. Okay, space is there. CD Java. Okay. So Java C. What is my class name? If you observe here, test main, right? Test main dot Java. What happened? Some errors expected. Which side is expecting? Just note salary and EID. Having ECell, ECell, ECell. Employee salary, employee salary, employee salary. Employee salary. Employee salary. Where is that word? Employee salary is fine. Fourteenth line. Oh, it is not encoded in double quotes. Okay. Employee salary.
We have one more code, right?
Sorry.
Still, we have one more single code, not double code. Yeah.
So Java customer. Here, this is the output. So here, what we are doing. So just here, whatever the variables we're having, I mean, whatever the variable values we're having, that values we are printing inside of a method. If you observe, okay, within the display underscore employee, we are printing the variable values. That is nothing but A111 Vishnu and 50,000 Hyderabad. But if you observe this method, so it is an instance method which we discussed already. I mean, what is the instance method we did not discuss? How to identify whether given method is an instance or static, we discussed already, right? So this is an instance method. So that is the reason I'm creating an object for this respective class like this, and after that I'm accessing by using this reference variable. I'm accessing these respective variable names. I mean EID, ename, ECell, and EDDR. Okay, so this is the final output of we're getting. This is nothing but creating a class and creating an object and accessing the members of the class. Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. So now, if you observe the class syntax, so generally if you observe the class syntax, so how we are defining nothing but class, class name, and open braces and closed braces, right? But now we are defining exact syntax of a class. Okay, what is, I mean, that is a basic syntax. We can take it as it is a basic syntax. So now we are defining what is exact syntax of class. Okay, so that is nothing but if you observe the class syntax. Access modifiers, class, class name. We're having a extends keywords with superclass, or we can say that a parent class, right? And after that, we're having some, even we can use implements keyword. So we discussed these things as well. And interface list. Okay, interface list followed by variables and followed by methods and followed by constructors and followed by blocks and followed by clauses. So like this, so many. Okay, this is nothing but exact syntax for creating a class. So access modifiers, class followed by class name. Either it can be extends with some superclass or a parent class, I mean, which we have discussed in inheritance concept. And after extends, even we can use implements keyword followed by some interface name. Okay, this is nothing but exact syntax for creating a class. And within this class, so generally if you observe till now, if you observe our previous classes, we have defined only variables and methods. So we did not define some constructors and blocks and even classes. And within a class we can define one more class. That concept is nothing but inner classes. So we are not discussing the inner classes in our core Java concepts. We are discussing only blocks, constructors, variables, and methods. This is not a part of our course. This is a part of core Java, I mean core Java course. Okay. But Hadoop point of view, but doesn't require these concepts here. So what are the concepts which are required for Hadoop? The concepts only we are discussing. Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
Yes. So here, what are the braces we are having like this, right? So these are the optionals. These are the optionals. And this thing is also optional. So if you observe these basic programming skills, we have defined a class with class and class name. We have did not define these sections and implements and even this access modifiers. So whatever the braces which I mentioned like this, I mean, we can take it as in square braces. So these are the optional, either you can define or you may not. But in real time, right? So we need to define this access modifiers. It is mandatory. Okay. So now we will discuss about this access modifiers. So if you are not getting my voice, so just try to relog in once again. This
This
access
conference will
modifiers,
now be
right?
recorded.
Now if you observe the access modifiers, so let us assume we are defining a class with some class name. So like this, class followed by class name, like this, right? So on top of this class name, right, which access modifiers are possible? So you're having some different access modifiers here. Let me mention you here. What are the access modifiers we're having? So many things is there. So we'll discuss some couple of things. So here, public, default, private, okay, and what we call static, strict, FP abstract. Okay, and final uh, protected. So like this, we're having so many access modifiers. Okay, so let us define one class first of all. Let me define class. Maybe some access modifiers. Okay, so within this class only, I am defining the main method, public static void main. So just I define class as a, so like this, just I'm defining first of all. Let us print some system dot out dot println something I'm defining here like this. Okay, so save as. So somewhere we're having Java programs. Access modifiers dot Java. So I forgot tell you, right? So first of all, so if you want to get some output in any Java programming, what are the Java programs in which we are doing? So we are having a two phases. We are having two phases. So one is compilation phase, and second one is execution phase. Okay, one is compilation phase and one more thing is an execution phase. So if you go with the compilation phase, first of all it will check, so do you have any syntactical errors or not. So if you observe the system.out.println, so if you're not terminating with this semicolon, right, if you're not terminating with this semicolon, it is a syntactical error, right? So there is these errors which comes under compilation phase. In execution phase, so I already told you we're having a software called as a JVM, nothing but a Java virtual machine. So whenever if you're going with this execution phase, so JVM come into picture and it will assign some memory for a particular class, whatever the class in which we are defining. So how it is going to allocate some memory, or how can we tell that how much memory is required for a particular class means it depends upon the variables. What are the variables we are defining? But suppose if we're defining some couple of int variables, so int is having a predefined data type and it is having its own memory, its own predefined memory, which is defined by either Java programming, or if you're going with the C, C++, what are the program language which you're having. So if you observe this C, so int is having only once if you define a int variable, so it will allocate 2 bytes of memory. But if you go with a Java, it is a 4 bytes of memory. It depends upon the programming, but each and every data type are having their own memory sizes, which are the predefined. We are unable to customize these values as well. So based upon these variables, what are the variables in which you are defining in any class? Based upon that, some memory will be allocated for that respective class. That will be done by JVM. At which phase here? Execution phase. And if you go with the compilation phase, so these are the predefined command we're having. So that is, sorry, Java C. And what is my class name here? Access modifiers dot Java. This is nothing but a compilation phase. And if you go with the execution phase, Java access modifiers. This is our execution phase. Okay. So now here, if you observe this one, I'm doing the comparison phase first of all. That is Java C access modifiers dot Java. Suppose if I am violating the syntax errors, right? So I did not, I mean, if you observe this statement, system.out.println, at the end of the statement, we need to provide semicolon. So now I did not provide any semicolon, but suppose if I am providing like this. Now, suppose if my program is like this, I'm just doing the compilation. See here, expected. I mean, it is expecting the semicolon. Where is expecting here? Here it is showing some arrow mark, right? So if you observe, it is expecting here. Nothing but we need to provide like this. Okay, so for suppose now if I'm not providing the braces, see here it is showing error reached end of the file while parsing. Means end of the file means it is reaching this end of the file. We did not provide any braces. So we need to provide the braces where exactly Java programming is ending. Okay, like these errors are nothing but what we are calling as a compilation errors. Okay. So now try to do a recompilation once again and Java access modifiers. So here we have got some output, right? So now if you observe here, I did not define any access modifier here. So if you are not defining any access modifier, by default, JM is going to assign access modifier called as a default. Okay. So now here I'm defining some access modifier as a public. So now try to do recompilation once again and try to do execution. See here we have got some output. So now instead of public, I'm going with protected. Is one more access modifier, right? Try to do recompilation. See here, modifier protected not allowed here. I mean, so if you are defining a class as a, I mean, if you are providing a class with access modifier as a protected, so it is not allowed. Simply we can say that if you are defining access modifier for a class keyword, it is not possible. Okay, so till now what are the access modifiers are possible? Public is possible, default is possible, and protected is not possible, right? This thing is not possible. Okay, now try to define some private. Here error modifier private not allowed here. Private is also not possible. So where is private? This thing is also not possible. So try to define with static. So here modifier static not allowed here. Static is also not possible. It is static, this one. Strict FP. So Java access modifiers. Okay, strict FP is possible. So now abstract. Here instead of strict FP, abstract. So here we're getting some output. So nothing but abstract class, access modifiers, and something. Okay. So now final. Okay, final is also possible. That's it. Okay. So out of these access modifiers, we're having some more access modifiers, like we're having a keyword called as a synchronizer, these things. But out of these access modifiers, which access modifiers are allowed for a particular class? Or if you want to define a class with access modifiers, right? Which access modifiers are possible here? Public, default, strict FP, abstract, and final. But generally, this strict FP final we are not able to use for any class. But these are the some tricky questions. So whenever if you're going with an interviewer, right? So if technical person is very strong in technical, so first of all they will ask first question if you're going with your concept, or if you're answering so many questions, right? So trickily he may ask, so can we define a class with strict FP? But we are not aware about this strict FP. So we can define a class with public, default. Anyway, default will be there, public and abstract. But we are not worried about this parallel and strict FP. Interviewer may be concentrated on these questions. So we can define a class with strict FP or a final as it is possible. Okay. Note point. So the access modifiers, private and protected scopes are defined on the boundaries of clauses. On the boundaries of clauses, so apply we can't apply them for the clauses. We can apply them for the members of the clauses. So means, so if you observe this private and protected, so once if you define it for any class, it is not allowing. Okay, it is not allowing, right? But where we can define this private and protected access modifiers? Okay, where we can define this.
This conference will
So
now be
here,
recorded.
so here we're having a concept called as a one more concept called as a inner clauses. Okay, for inner clauses, we can define these two access modifiers. What are the access modifiers we have? Okay, so that is the reason the access modifiers, private and protected scopes are defined on the boundaries of classes. Okay, so we can't apply them for the classes. We can apply them for the members of the class. So if you observe in the class syntax, exact syntax of a class, whenever I had defined the clear syntax, I have mentioned the members of a class. It can be variable, constructors, blocks, methods, okay, or even clauses also have defined. Means within a class, for suppose we're having a class A like this. Let us assume we're having some class A. So within this class, we can define class B as well. See, the class keyword is highlighting. So if it is highlighting with a different color, it is allowed. So why it is highlighting here? Public is highlighting, static void, because these are the keywords. These are the predefined keywords from Java. That is the reason they are highlighting. So if you observe here, right, class is highlighting, this class is also highlighting. Nothing but creating a class within a class. There is nothing but what is exactly inner classes. So here you can define class as a private. It is possible, or even protected is also possible. See, it is highlighting here. Okay, we are unable to define this private and protected for this respective class access modifiers. This is because we are not implementing any inner class concept. But whenever if you're going with inner class concept, inner classes we can apply this private and protected, but not for outer class. This class A we can say it as an outer class, and class B we can say an inner class. Okay, so that is the meaning of this note point. Okay, So one more note, all the access modifiers like public, protected, default and private are allowed for the sorry, inner clauses. Okay, this public, protected, default and private are allowed for the inner clauses. But if you observe the outer clause, I mean clause A. So for clause A, what are the access modifiers are allowed? Only public and default, but not protected and private. Okay, I hope this point is clear, all of you. So is it clear till now? So if you're having any doubts, let me know.
This conference will now be recorded.
So do define some extra nature to the Java elements like variables, methods, classes, right? We will use the following access modifiers. Okay, to define some extra nature to the Java elements like variables, methods, classes, we will use the following access modifiers. That is nothing but a static, final, abstract, native, volatile, transient. Okay, these are the what we can say that so many access modifiers we have, right? So synchronize, I have mentioned you previously as well. Strict FP. So like this, we're having so many access modifiers. Okay. So now from the above list of access modifiers, classes are able to allow abstract, final and strict FP. Okay, from the above list of access modifiers, right? Classes are able to allow abstract, final and strict FP. Okay, these things were discussed and we have done practically as well, right? So note point, inner clauses are able to allow static, final, abstract and strict FE access modifiers from the above list. Okay, inner clauses are able to allow static, final, abstract and strict FE access modifiers from the above list. Okay, so if you observe the node points, what are the node points we have defined? So for inner clauses, almost all access modifiers will be allowed. Most of the access modifiers, even though we're having huge amount of access modifiers list, but these are the list of access modifiers in which we are using regularly in our application development. But most of the access modifiers are allowed for inner clauses, not for outer clauses. I mean this clause A and clause B. If you take this clause as a assume it as a outer clause and this clause B as a inner clause. For all inner clauses, most of the access modifiers are allowed, but not for outer clause. Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
So do we define any modifier, any access modifier for outer clause? Yes, these things are defined now, public and default. Default anyway it is common. Okay, generally we can define public. So now if you observe the clause syntax, which I have defined in previous screenshot, right? So in that we'll go each and individual thing out of the syntax of a clause. So first of all, if you observe this clause, okay, so you know that clause is a keyword. Clause is a keyword. It can be used to represent a class object-oriented future in Java. Okay, and after that we define some class name. So where class name is an identifier assigned to the clauses to recognize the clauses independently. So if you observe the class names, right? So you can define whatever the class name you want. Only condition is first name, first letter must be a caps. That is not a condition actually. That is the set of predefined rules and regulations. If you want to define a well-defined programming structure whenever if you're going with the development, because whatever the code in which you are writing, that code it has to be understood by different people, whether within the company or across the globe. So that is the reason we need to follow the exact syntaxes and how to define a class name. I mean, if you want to define a class name, you can define anything, but first letter must be a caps so that end user going to understand this is a class name. So like that, these are the set of rules and regulations which is going to follow globally. Okay. So here also, what are the class name you want, you can define. That is the reason it is telling as a is going to recognize as an independently. What are the class names you are defining? Okay. And here one more thing is extends keyword in the clause syntax. Extends keyword. So where extends is a keyword, it can be used to specify super clause in clause syntax in order to reuse the members of super clause in the present subclass. Okay, extends is a keyword. Where extends is a keyword, it can be used to specify the superclass in clause syntax. So if you observe the class A, class B. So we're having two classes. Whatever the class A members, if you want to get in a class B, right? Generally, what we're doing, class B extends A. Then nothing but whatever the class A members we're having, these class numbers, it will be automatically inherited to class B. Then nothing but what is exactly extends keyword. Okay. So by using extends keyword, I think but we're achieving the code reusability as well. Okay. So this is important note point. All of you need to follow. Listen carefully as well. In class syntax, extends keyword will not allow more than one superclass names, because if we provide more than one superclass names in along with extends keyword, then it is becoming as multiple inheritance, which is not possible in Java. So if you observe the multiple inheritance concept, which is not supported in Java and it is supported in C++. So why they have eliminated this multiple inheritance is nothing but so much of confusion between the developers. So that is the reason this multiple inheritance concept itself they have eliminated. So if you observe in C++ in somewhere, so we're having some class A. So now class B and class C. So extends A comma B. If you are defining it like this, it's nothing but what is exactly multiple inheritance. It is not possible in Java. That is the importance of this point. Okay, in class syntax, extend keyword will not allow more than one superclass names. So if you observe here, A and B is nothing but a superclass and class C is nothing but a subclass, which is not allowed this one in Java program. Okay. So because if we provide more than one superclass names in along with extends keyword, then it is becoming a multiple inheritance, which is not supported in our Java program. Okay. So next one is implements keyword. Okay. So where implements is a Java keyword which can be used to specify one or more interfaces names in order to implement all the interface methods in the present class. Okay, implements is a Java keyword which can be used to specify one or more interface names. Okay, in order to implement all the interface methods in the present class. So what we want to say is, so if you observe this interface A, we're having, so within interface A, we're having only abstract methods, right? So we can create some implementation class like this. Class B implements some A. Okay. So this is nothing but what is exactly implementation class, right? So and even we can define like this as well. Okay. Interface C like this also. Assume that we're having some interface C as well. So this thing is possible. It is not comes under multiple inheritance here. Okay, we can implement multiple interfaces. We are unable to extend multiple classes in our Java program. You can understand like this. Okay, that is a very important point. Note. So in class syntax, extends keyword will allow only one superclass class, but implements keyword will allow more than one interface, which we discussed already. Okay, so note in class syntax, both extends and implements keywords are optional. We can write a class without extends keyword and without implements keyword and without extension implements keywords. Okay, so here if you observe in our basic programming skills, just we are defining a class and we are creating an object and we are accessing the members. So nowhere we have defined this extension implements keyword. We can write a class without extension, without implements, or even both. Then there is a simple way of creating a class in our Java programming. First, suppose now I want to write extension implements keyword at a time for a particular class. Then how can we write it? So either I can write extends followed by implements or implements followed by extends, and which is the correct way. Okay. So this is very important note, all of you. If you want to write both extends and implements, keywords in class syntax, then first we have to write extends keyword, then we have to write implements keyword. Okay, if you want to write both extends and implements keyword in class syntax, then first we have to write extends keyword and then it has to follow by implements keyword, not implements followed by extends keyword. Okay, so is this points is clear, all of you? Any doubts? Because we have discussed some couple of notes till now. Is it fine? Okay, so these examples, so you need to provide the answers, all of you. Examples for so class A. So if I defining a class A like this, is it valid or not? All of you. All of you need to answer. Nothing but valid. So if I define like this, public class A, is it valid? Yes. So private class A. So is it valid or not? Not valid. I mean, we can say that invalid. class A private class B. Is it valid or not? Valid. Class A extends B. Is it valid or not? Valid. Class A extends B, C. Is it valid or not? Invalid. Class A implement some interface. Is it valid or not? Valid. Class A implements I1, I2. Is it valid or not? It's a valid. Class A extends B implements I. Is it valid or not? Valid. Class A implements I extends B. Is it valid or not? Invalid. Static class A. Is it valid or not? Static class A. Invalid. Class A static class B. Is it valid or not? This is valid. Okay, so these are the couple of scenarios. So if you observe in our previous screenshots, so we have defined so many nodes. So based upon the nodes, I have summarized some scenarios so that you can uh, understand the different scenarios whenever if you're defining either a class or interface, or if you define both these extents or implements or different access modifiers. Okay, for understanding purpose only, I have defined this couple of scenarios. I hope you are fine with these cases and whatever the nodes which we have discussed until now. Okay.